Hi everyone, welcome. Welcome to the channel, welcome back. Welcome if you're new, and we're meeting, it seems like, after quite a space. Space is made after all the space being made. And what I mean by that is there's been quite a bit of traveling most recently for myself, working with the land, working and offering services, sessions, frequencies at different conferences, but in those processes also really working with the grid, with the energies, reconfigurating a lot of still yet in the layers of what has has been is collapse codes, simultaneous collapse, reconfiguration, and clearing codes, and clearing the energy, the morphogenetic field, the memory, which is in every cell of any place, from a blade of grass to the dew to the water, which is huge, water memory, land memory, anything that ever transpired there, and then it trickles through in the layers and the patterns into the people, into the different generations, these memories. And so there's been a lot of clearing land, clearing the field, clearing the energy, the memory fields, through the waters, through the waves, through the rocks, through the geology, through the memory of all of the matter and the energy, really. And so that brings us to this juncture right now. Linearly, we can look at uh, it's about mid-January 2026. We just arrived here in this new juncture of rebuild and restructure, which is now, implementing and simultaneous requiring a massive collapse, right? And to some that's um, uncertain, right? It's uncertain. It's can bring up anxiety, can bring up a lot of fear energy or triggers, lots of triggers of the unknown or detaching, um, learning how to detach, even releasing that which is not serving. And that's what brings us to this meeting here today, is that required now is further and deeper collapse to create those spaces for reconfiguration. And what that means is that to allow and be comfortable, which sounds like a scary place energetically, physically perhaps, be comfortable with the collapse and let go. Like really, really let go, because in this space right now, this huge juncture, infinite potentiality space, to fully allow that which is meant for the divine right alignment of each and every one, each and everything, each and every place, stars, star nation, soul family connection, all the layers in between. It's required to let go of that which doesn't serve, which is also simultaneous collapse, restructure, clearing, purification, making that space for what's next, which is right now. So this meeting here, we're going to have a brief just discussion about this, and a transmission to assist with further and deeper collapse. And, perhaps that term sounds even stirring to the energy, to the physicality of collapse. What does that mean? But it's absolutely required and essential to create the implementation space, the anchoring space for the divine right alignments, the accelerated blueprint, galactic blueprint for each and every one thing and where to have that space to hold the pure tone light that we are. And so this meeting point here in this, we could say session, discussion here, is to really dissolve those residuals and ask ourselves too in these and these cycles, this process of this next huge now. Like this is a huge now, right? Every now is a huge now, but this now is an especially huge now because we're in 2026. Not that it's about the number, but it is about the energy of now. And this now is transformations, implementation, and we need to ask ourselves, hopefully you already have, but we need to ask ourselves what, and be honest in this question, this inquiry, self-reflection is, what is in the current experience that may still not be serving? What may be showing itself that may need to be discarded or let go of? Or, or, what is it that is showing itself to be done? You know, and a lot of these questions are those questions that people are really needing to look at right now, right? To clear and to dissolve, to let go, to create that space for this next rotation, which for many is finding out, well, what is it that I came to this earth to do specifically, or what is it I came to do this now? You know, you've been maybe perhaps doing certain things up to this point, but now what? You know, now what's the next step? What does that look like? And in order sometimes, many times, I've discovered in many ways to get those next sets of instructions or for those that information to arrive, need to have the space, you know, which means that the plate needs to be clear for the next rotation. So something or many things need to be discarded, let go of, and ask really truly the question, what might there be that yet needs to be released? And sometimes it's not even known, these residual things, what it is might be carried, what might be stored, what might be lingering or continuing on. And in order to get to those, you know, not necessarily physical places, but those next reconfiguration implementations, we need to really have that clear. I always think of it kind of like a drawing. We look at a drawing, you know, and this is, of course, this is an example, but you know, we have a drawing. Oops. I don't know if you can see that. But say we have a drawing, right? You know, there's information on the... I love Zoom. But, you know, we have information, right? We've drawn, we've done, we've experienced. It's got, you know, a series of energy, frequency about it. But if we're going to continue on, we need a new sheet of paper, right? You know, it's going to have different information with or without the Zoom background. It's going to have different information. We have to release that or even set it aside. And what a lot of times too, I'm witnessing with others in many ways, of course, depends on the person, but is archiving information. And by that means, what have you learned and already discovered and are done with? You know, you've mastered that. You can archive that information. You know, you don't need to have the continuation of the learning of that, right? Because you've archived, or hopefully you are archiving the fact that you've already gotten the wisdom. So move on to the next step. You don't need to carry around that information anymore. You know, you don't need to carry around the whole drawing book per se of the same information. And I'm finding that even as a parallel example, is a lot of the codes I've written, you know, they're already anchored, they're already integrated, they're already somewhere doing that which they've already done in this eternal echoing abyss, that there's new codes now, you know, and to archive those is to either integrate, dissolve, allow them to reconfigure and do what they've already done and move on to the next thing, right? So let's ask ourselves before we dive into the sound immersion, what yet still in transparency and self-reflection is not working? You know, whether it's an experience, a place, an energy, an exchange, friendship, connection, job function, or even up to this current juncture, whatever you're working on and have been offering, as your services, what may potentially not be working anymore, meaning that there's something else in more refined alignment that is to be that, and there's refining of services or changing of job duties or functions, more precise function of what it is that needs collapse and clearing and space made for the next information. And to receive that information is to have a clear sheet of paper to get the download, the internal download, the information of who, the what, the where, the networking, what's to arrive next, is we need to have that space. So what has come out of alignment perhaps with these accelerations? We're accelerating so fast, and what even we thought we were doing per se as a function or a duty or our specialty by midday from yesterday or so, or however you want to look at it linearly, is already rotated out of. So what can we let go and release that no longer serves to really allow the implementing of right order? And without, I'll give another example. This is important because, in order to implement divine right order is what is now, not what was then. And what I can reference actually very specifically is this book I just wrote, thinking linearly, but it came out, I think, in October. And what's interesting about this is that, what is it about? Return of purity and divine order. Okay, this is returning purity and divine order, which is what is happening now, right? But on this last juncture point of these last two trips, even working with the land and the energies there, and very specifically with the people and the morphogenetic field and the memory and the clearing of the layers and the layers of different traumas and things, is to get to this place energetically and physically, to physically build with light structure to implement these new communities, is there's a lot to be let go of, which also means that, okay, so if we're building, bridging, and we're branching, a lot of these codes, I'll give you a lot of examples. What was written in the book has been layered and amplified. I was writing on, I don't know if you can see that. I was writing on code on top of code that it is, yes, these are divine right order building codes, but to continue to amplify on what was we thought in October, which was ancient times, right? And there's so much validity to all of this. However, to continue on is to further amplify and continue on from this morning. And 5 minutes ago, the beginning of this call is to continue to amplify and also check in, right? So we have these building codes. And this is, of course, again, another example. We have the codes, but how can we continue to allow ourselves to let go? To let go and release of what we thought we knew, to allow further and deeper collapse required, to create space for reconfiguration also required. So what does that mean is that we're tuning in moment to moment and seeing, well, okay, so we have this information, which is energy, right? We have this current information. What do we, that was a little joke to myself. I write in my own books, and I create these as journals also, because they do very much like what I'm expressing and showing to you, is they allow space for journaling, but they also allow space for further activation and expansion where you can draw. You can do many things. Blank pages where you can draw and amplify what's already written. and sometimes, reconfigure what's already been configured. So the point is, and we open up to reconfiguration, which is what we're talking about specifically today. No accidentals, is that to allow that space for collapse and clearing, energetically, physically, to create these new spaces, these building spaces, these communities, these rightly reordered structures through light and building with light, is to clear out the residuals. And that means to be present with what is, to ask ourselves honestly, what is working? What do you sense, like energetically, in your moment? What needs refinement or discardation? And really, with what's unfolding in this particular moment, is feeling into what feels in the most highest alignment, this right now, which could change. So with that, we're going to dive into a sound immersion, a brief one, to assist with some further discardation, made up word, further discardation and collapse, because a lot of times what, and this is me specifically, that I'm offering during these, grid working, layers of assignments per se, or conferences, is simultaneous multidimensional coding through sound and light. And that usually is collapse, reconfiguration, and purification codes simultaneously, while creating the space for upgrades and offering codes for upgrades, implementation, right ordering, purification, and divine ordering of one's own harmonics to implement and anchor in, or even location. So we'll have a brief sound immersion today for that, because this is really high time to prioritize what is, what's working. Let's be clear, let's be focused, and continue to be precisely fine-tuned focus of what is correct, and discarding what isn't, because it's very obvious when it's not, right? So in that too, I would love to invite all of you to our we're having a group sound immersion online. It's now live. It's a group immersion on Zoom this Sunday, January 18th, of course, dependent on when you see this video. And it's called Ancient Remembrance. And what it is a full 1 hour and a half sound immersion that does that very thing, but in addition to, amplifies that which is collapsing, reconfiguring, purifying, making space, but also activating ancient remembrance, right? And what that means is ancient remembrance everyone has. Ancient remembrance everyone has. Everyone has that. Leaves have that. Blades of grass have that. The purity of divine order is remembered through the cells, remembered through the coding. And these simultaneous collapse, let go, reconfiguration, purification waves create that space for that simultaneous sound and light activation of ancient remembrance. Now, this isn't about going somewhere and looking for new information. This is not about going anywhere and getting new information. This is about opening the libraries and the archives within you. Let's do that again. Because this is about activating the ancient soul remembrance within each one of you. And what that is, in much part actually, is dissolving this other stuff. And so we can do simultaneously through sound and light, because light is so swift, and frequency and sound is reverberating its code, its instructions, and its precise precise precision to, at least speaking for myself, the way that I offer these immersion sessions, meditations, all of the tools are very precisely tuned to do certain things, which means that one code, I'll use a different example this time, but one code, right? I don't know if you can see that. Zoom is so interesting. But one code can do an infinite amount of things in one code. And so these precise instructions have the capacity, especially through sound and tone when offered in an immersion, to do multitudes of things, which means collapse, reconfiguration, purification, amplification, acceleration, activation, opening dormancies, clearing DNA, activating DNA, instating many, you want to say particles, but many aspects that are latent, sitting, awaiting that light switch, so to speak, to turn on, to be turned back on. And through dissolving disillusions and confusions or residuals, we have that space to do so. So this particular video here today, we're all experiencing together, is a brief reconfiguration code, purification residual, but you're all invited cordially to Sunday, January 19th immersion. You can find the details on the Facebook page or on the posts of the YouTube page. It has the details, or you can just email direct through the website and sign up there. It's Sunday, January 18th, 2026. And it's a full-on 1 hour and a half to really awaken ancient remembrance, which is within you. It's not new information. It's your archives and libraries you already have. So I invite you there if that resonates. And also, so we're going to dive into today like a precursor. I don't know if I like that word. It's a prelude. It's a prelude to Sunday as a beginning point of dissolving some residuals, but also reminder, as everything is, a reflection in any moment, a reflection of what is it, what can we further ask ourselves with transparency, total transparency. Let's just breathe out for a minute, right? Transparency now, clarity, total integrity and total honesty. What may need further refinement, discardation, clearing, to let go of, to create space to actually see more clearly what the next proper step is. Because we can be moving forward, right? We could be taking steps forward, or we can have lots of movement in places, but does that necessarily mean it's evolution? Or is it movement, right? What's the difference? There is a difference. Movement is we're moving and we're doing, right? We're creating, we're doing things. But is it forward rotation? Is it evolution? Is it actually what is meant for you? Is a good question, right now. So that helps to further continue to refine is if you're looking for those more clear informational sequences of what might that be that the mission is. A lot of times the answer is found in letting go of what we think we're doing, or what we're doing, or what it may seem have been next, in this previous moment, but now that we're accelerated into this juncture, and it really is time, it's high time, as far as I'm saying, to really come and build in right order. Then we're simultaneously required to collapse all these false structures, No matter how scary it is, we gotta let it go because it's false. It's maybe misaligned. Maybe it's partial truth, or 100 other potentialities. But in order to be in complete right order, it's going to need to be refined, come all the way apart, all the way down to the base, into the core, to create the space for the correct alignment and correct building, right? Because we don't build, we're not building new structures on a faulty foundation, or building this pure tone harmonic frequency new community, but still on an incorrectly aligned ley line, or on a sacred burial site or something like that. That's not going to work. That won't cut it. We can't pretty it up and remodel it and make it correct. It has to be all the way in totality, in complete purity and right order, which means we have to clear all the slates. We have to collapse everything that needs collapsing. And so it's a nice precursor to prelude. I wonder what precursor was made up to mean. We'll have to take a look at that because it doesn't seem entirely correct. Okay, so today we're going to widely and deepen into our own spaces within ourselves, ask those important questions. And I'm going to open up and read something that we just opened to before the reconfiguration. We're going to ask ourselves those important questions. What? Let's see if we find it, if it's meant to be read. Otherwise, that's okay. What is it? What is it that has come out of alignment? Maybe seem to be so, or seem to be in alignment for a certain state of learning, but is no longer, right? It's not filling you with joy. It's not resonating your soul. It's not singing your harmonic heart song. It's not a proper exchange, perhaps, or a pure exchange, or a million other potentialities. What is it that we can look at? So the other day, there was so much reconfiguration codes and collapse through the travels in a particular area with all of the fields of information just built on, layered on each other, that were creating all this discordant disharmonics, right? And so I drew this. Can you see that? I'll take the background off sometime. I drew this reconfiguration code, and what this says is reconfiguration, structuring light and sound, because light and sound structure, they build, right? But they also collapse. Reconfigure, collapse, reconfigure, right? All the things, purify. So structuring light and sound. Now we're going to go into the poetic frequencies. Harp string, starlit attuning. Galactic star family reunions. Aligning axis pillars through symmetry. Reconfiguring precise new geometries. Shifting through raising the frequencies. Delicate harmonic heart audibilities. Oscillations. New configurations. Rewriting our cosmic destiny. Reconfiguration. So with that, let's weave some sound frequency, some tone and some energy. This is the body, the energy body, the field. Through these next series of phases, processes, reconfiguration, collapse, dissolution. I know, I feel like a lot of people are really uncomfortable with letting the collapse happen. It has to happen. It's happening anyways. But the less you grasp at it, the less you grasp at anything that's collapsing, the more comfortable, the more ease, let's say, the more ease it will be, right? Because there's nothing to hold on to this present moment. Yeah, we just are learning to more deeply, each of us in our own time, divine time, how to embrace allowing the space that's needed for the next moment, which is now, to arrive. So with that, as we settle into our physical spaces, our body spaces, into our spaces between our cellular spaces, right? The space between the breath, which is, what is that? The space in between the in-breath and the out-breath is a space, right? We allow ourselves to experience the space in between without scrambling to look for something to fill it with, right? Or wondering all the questions, where is it? When will it arrive? Just allow that space to be there, right? Because between the spaces, they make the other shapes, that make the shapes, that form the shapes into the geometric shapes of this now, into the purity, divine order, coherent configuration, space, into the spaciousness of the space between the breath in between the breath, flowing through the chamber, into the heart space. Feel that space being right here, being right here in this space, in your physical space, in your body, vessel, sacred space. Be here right now. No expectation. Just be here. And as we flow into the sounds and the tones and the light that you are, just ask yourself, gentle inquiry, right? What has been presenting itself is no longer needed, not relevant, already learned. What have you already mastered that you don't need to continue? Or what have you been experiencing that feels out of resonance? Feels like static, perhaps, noise. Just breathe with that, no judgment, just observe. What is that, right? What is those things or that experience or this place? Relationship, job, function, habit, routine, whatever it is, just observe. And breathe as you observe it. And as you observe it, just watch that thing that you've chosen now. Now that you've observed, this or a multitude of other things that may no longer serve. Ready for release. Just observe it right here. Just gently watching it dissolve away. No attachment, no grasp. Just observe the space made between the space. Between the breath and the intention, the thought deciding to open up to the space of your next space, to open up the space to the infinite of your new now, which is in alignment with who you are. Now focus on that spaciousness of the infinite abyss of who and what is forming, of how everything is creating and orchestrating exactly right for you. Just observe how this moment of letting go is orchestrating the next beautiful alignment to arrive. It's just ordering so neatly packaged, divinely guided arrival for who you are right now. Take a breath and open up to the infinite spaciousness to receive that next moment, frequency, energy, connection, network, people, place, thing. Next now, as you breathe out, open your heart, feel that feeling, that knowing, known, that now is here in the release. Breathe the infinite abyss of possibility. Feel in that exhale all the space to arrive fully in your ancient remembering embodiment of your luminous liquid light. Dongaya nia ngaya kaya kainoi. Ongaya Unaya kai niatai nai o mai. Breathe out space between the space made between the spaces of letting go of that which is no longer meant for you. Perhaps never was meant for you. No story needed, no judgment, no discussion required. Just be that space for now to arrive here where you are, right here, right now, ready. Non-expectation, open to the unknown, allowance, collapse, space, made, spacious space, made space, made for connection points to the infinite. Space is made of already known now. Ancient all-loving awareness, you already know. We aren't gathering new information, we're discarding to integrate and embody that who we are, ancient, all-knowing awareness, source, creator, divine, infinite, cosmic, luminous being of light. We are. We are returning now. Layers and layers of new codes. We already have all of our ancient galactic encoded nature within our archives of our DNA, and as we dissolve all of these other accumulations, known or unknown, we don't always need to know about what these things are, where they came from, or what the story is. Not important. But as we discard and we dissolve and we clear and we collapse and we purify, we can implement the divine order of our divine ordering and orchestration we already have written within us, within our own coding. So we activate that through sound, through light structures, through energy. We have all the information, the blueprint, the map is right here within our own selves. So this, of course, a brief discussion, brief overview, immersion, brief one, to create some space for the next juncture point, which is now. And I'm inviting all of you to ask those questions. You know, they're not tough questions, they're honest questions, and that's what there's space for, is what's pure, what's righteous, what's true, what's honest, and begins within being honest with ourselves. So what's working, what's coming up, being shown, needing readjustment, letting go of, collapse, reconfiguration, and I invite you within to ask that, to allow that, and also to join us on Sunday, January 18th, at our immersion, Ancient Remembrance, where we dive deep. This was brief. We dive for an hour and a half. Sound, tone, light. We journey through energy, through the physical, through the body, through the systems, through the layers, through dormancies, DNA, through all of our own codes to awaken that which we already have. We don't need to go shopping to find more things. We can actually activate who we are, so we can stand in and know what that is, who we are, what's next, and allow it to arrive without pushing, without forcing, without creating these complexities. It just orchestrates for us because it's as us, it is us. It's the divine order that is promised by us arriving here on earth to be ourselves. So with that great dog barking to join us too right now. I invite you there. If you'd like to sign up, you can visit the website intergalacticenergyhealing.com. There's a connect form on there. You can email direct, or you can find the link on Facebook. It's all very simple. Either way you arrive there, the links are in the YouTube bio for the website. Send a message, let me know that you'd like to join us, and then once you sign up, you'll get the Zoom link. And this is not a live on the YouTube. This is a meeting that is specific for those that sign up. And so we immerse deeply through sound, tone, and energy, awaken all of our dormancies to anciently remember our ancient, or to remember, let's say it that way, to remember our ancient knowingness within us. So I look forward to seeing you there. It was great to see you here, and I look forward to seeing you again soon, whether then the 18th or another time. I thank you for being in this space with the channel to whatever extent we have met or will soon, sending so much love and alignment and grace and allowance for that which is and that which is transforming before us, collapsing, reconfiguring, purifying in our beingness, divine righteousness. Well, I don't know, we might have a dog join us at the end here, but thank you all for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you soon, seeing you then, and being with you now. So much love. See you soon.